Hey everyone, good morning. Okay, let's start today's topic. We had issues with a Java application, not with the build or release. The deployment was not happening. There was an issue with the code. So the issue was fixed, but I do see Sharad is still facing some issues with the build. So Sharad, that is because of there's a Maven plugin which is missing in your build, and because of which you're getting the error. I have re-uploaded the project again after building it locally by myself. This is something I have built it myself again. Now this is how we have. So there is a Maven plugin which was missing. So you can go and check it again. So this is basically will take around 13-14 minutes to build, guys. It took me around 13 minutes. And post deployment, I was able to successfully deploy. There is a change which I made in the YAML file also. It's very slight change which I did, and the project file also, which post that I was able to successfully deploy. And now when you try to access, you don't have to give /pet clinic. Just this link URL will be more than enough. Okay, and you'll be able to access the application of Java. Now I'll not be using the same because we'll be starting with SonarQube, and with SonarQube I'll be using one more Spring Boot application. So I'll not build this because this is taking very good amount of time, 13-14 minutes. And in SonarQube there are multiple times we need to build the pipeline. So it is a waste of time if we use the same project, because it's a quite big project and it will unnecessarily take more time. So what the alternative is, I'll have one more Spring Boot project. I have it, which I use it for my security sessions over here. So basically I'll be using this Spring Boot project, and basically what it does, it will just simply display Kubernetes security. That's it on the home screen. That's it, nothing much. But in reality, I use this application with one Node.js application as well. So basically 2-tier application it is. So if you do any calculation using this front-end application, the calculation basically happens in the backend. Okay, so that type of segment it is. So I'm just taking partial. I'm just taking the front-end one. I'll not be deploying the backend one. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So I'll be using this again, a Spring Boot application. We'll do the build, and we'll be integrating SonarQube and all with this. Okay, that is what the target is right now. So let's go and do it, guys. Do it. Try this build, Java build. Everything remains same. The project is uploaded on the drive. Just copy paste the project into your Git repository and start using it. If you're getting any build error, do let me know. You should eventually not get it because that is a tested project which I have put on the drive now. But try it by yourself, okay? And let me know if there's an issue. Okay, so the second part, let's create one more repository. Let's name it as Spring-web app. So basically what we'll do this time, I'll have this new Spring Boot application added. This is basically we need to understand SonarQube practically. So we need an application wherein we can include SonarQube. Okay, so let me just prepare this, then we'll start with SonarQube, guys. Any questions in between? Anyone has any questions? Apart from the error what Sarah was getting, that was a Maven plugin error. Anyone else? Any other question, guys? Anyone tried doing things? The error which you have shared, Sharad. So if you see the line, the error line, so there is a plugin, Maven plugin which is missing. So, no problem. So no worry, just delete whatever you have right now and clone the project which is now today morning I've uploaded the project on the drive. Just clone it and try to rebuild it. Okay. Okay, so I got the Spring Boot application right now with me. Let me just push it first. Let me add it and just push it first onto my remote repository. Okay, so commit. Done. So we have the Spring Boot application now in my remote repository. Perfect. Okay, so this is the remote repository which we had. I don't have a YAML file over here, so I can basically go and create a YAML, a quick build pipeline I can create for this. Let's create the build pipeline. Let's have a Maven file created. Okay, perfect. Or else let's create a starter pipeline, guys. Let's not make use of template because there are multiple things which we need to do. Okay, let's do this thing. Let's create this build pipeline later. Okay. What exactly we are, why did we add this repository? Because it's again a Java application, guys. The reason I'm using the Java application because this is a very small application. This will hardly take 2 minutes to build. That is what I think. And if you go and see the pom.xml file, this is what we have in the pom.xml file. Very simple. It's a Spring Framework application, model version 4.0. And this is a numeric application what we are using. And that's it. Okay. So when this application is deployed, you just get a home page, Kubernetes security. That's it. Nothing else. Okay. But this is a front-end application. If I set up the backend also, that's written in Node.js, then you see the calculation happening from the front end. That is something we will not do. We'll focus on front end. Why exactly I'm using this application? Because I can integrate SonarQube with it. It has test cases also, guys. So it has 3 test cases which will run and which will give you output as well. So we can integrate SonarQube with it. And if needed, I can even integrate Jacoco. That's for code coverage. I'll show you how do we integrate Jacoco and all. So that's all part of DevSecOps, wherein we run the unit test cases, we run Jacoco, that is for code coverage, and third will be integrating SonarQube, that is for static code analytics. So these topics are all part of DevSecOps. So that is something we'll do. And this is a small application. It will be very easy for demonstrate because it will not take much time to build and release. If I use the previous application, the big application, it takes around 13-14 minutes just to build. Okay, so that's a quite waste of time considering of 1 hour period what we have. So let's go and do that. Before that, let's understand what exactly is SonarQube, guys, before jumping onto SonarQube directly. And how do we set up SonarQube? I'll be creating a VM, a virtual machine on Azure DevOps. On top of it, I'll be setting up Docker. On top of it, I'll be setting up SonarQube. Then we'll be creating a service connection from a SonarQube server to Azure DevOps. Then we create a project on SonarQube. Then we'll integrate that project inside our pipeline. There are multiple things what we're gonna do. Okay, so let's start. Okay, what exactly is SonarQube? So SonarQube will help you to achieve SAST. SAST is nothing but it's a static application security testing. One way at rest. If you want to test your piece of code, then SonarQube is the best tool in the market. There are multiple static application security testing tools available in the market. What one of the best tool is SonarQube. Why best? SonarQube is open source, guys. You can easily go and integrate SonarQube with your application. It's not that, so you can even opt for SonarQube enterprise version. Okay, where exactly enterprise version will be needed, I'll tell you once I log into SonarQube server. Okay, so SonarQube is as I said, it's an open source platform developed by Sonar Source for continuous inspection of code quality to perform automatic reviews with static analysis of code. Benefit of using static code analysis over dynamic code analysis. Static code analysis will be they have access to your source code. Dynamic code analysis, they don't have access to your source code. It's like a black box testing which is done after the deployment. And this is at the developer level itself, the development level itself, this is done. So early early mitigation of code, where SonarQube plays a very important role. Why do we need SonarQube? The question is why. It helps in detecting areas in the code that needs a refactoring or simplification. It will automatically detect those parts for you. It can help to find bugs early in the development lifecycle, which means less cost to fix them. When you're developing your application at that time itself, it will find bugs and it will go ahead and give you error stating this is the bug which can be reused, which can be changed. Like bugs such as if you're using a older version of any dependency, any plugin, it will go and find that for you. SonarQube is also, it will also find vulnerabilities for you guys. SonarQube goes one step ahead and it will also give you vulnerability reports. Okay, we can define project specific roles which will then implement it without manual implements. If you want, you can have project specific. There are n number of uh, specification which SonarQube works on, but if you want to have some custom specification to check, even that is possible with SonarQube. Okay, what exactly SonarQube does? Simply having code visibility is not good enough. Okay, so what SonarQube does, it will it will address the issues and it will flag the exact line where the issue is. Like if you have a big application, where exactly the issue is, where exactly the bug is, it will go and flag that particular line inside your source code. You can go to that file, go to the line, and you'll come to know what exactly the issue is with this particular line. It's not that it will not simply say there are 10 issues in your code, where exactly those 10 issues are. It will be very precise, very accurate, and at that particular line, it will go and highlight, yeah, this is what the issue is. That is what SonarQube does. Okay, how? Now using quality gates. So there are multiple options in SonarQube. There are quality profiles. So you can define your own custom profile, or there are by default, there are n number of profiles already created. Based on that profile, your analysis happens. And then using quality gates, you can have a break. You can define a quality gates, like if there is a code smell more than 10, your pipeline should break. If the code coverage is not more than 80%, the pipeline should break. If your conditional coverage is not more than 80%, your pipeline should break. All these gates you can put in place. You can create your own custom gates, or you can make use of the default gate which SonarQube provides. What will happen if the build is not meeting that criteria? If the code coverage is not 80%, just assume your build pipeline will break. It will not let developer to move ahead. The developer has to go and fix those issues first, and he has to come back and rerun the build. This is very much needed when you do continuous integration, continuous deployment at that time. Because what did I say? At that time, the only way you can stop things from happening is when things are breaking in between, when the test cases are breaking in between. SonarQube does for you. We'll do it again. Again, this is a scenario wherein we'll be integrating Sonar break in between, and we'll be making sure that we'll be creating our own quality gates. We will not use the default one. We'll create our own custom quality gates. We'll be defining our own quality rules. So if you see the right hand side, we got the metrics. What is the code smell is greater than 10, then your pipeline will break. If you see the other metrics, conditional coverage, if it's less than 60%, then your pipeline will break. Okay, now let's go ahead and this is the command docker run SonarQube, which will set up a SonarQube container on Docker. Let's go ahead and see how exactly this works. So this is SonarQube for you guys. Any questions, guys, with SonarQube? What is SonarQube and all? Okay, so the values and everything, basically this is something your project owner should decide. Okay, so who will decide what should be a code coverage, what should be a condition? Your security team may give you the values that, yeah, your code coverage should be 95 plus. It should not less be 95 plus. The product owner may say, no, we cannot go less than 60%. So all this value is something a DevOps engineer will not definitely not decide. This is a team communication. Along with team, you come up with a list of security measures which you will take, and you will be coming up with the numbers. Your development team will coming up with the numbers that, yeah, or your client will tell you the requirement that your code coverage should be more than 90%. So you may get this value from number of sources, and you have to collaborate together. You need to come up with that particular number. Okay. So yeah, answering to your question, definitely not a DevOps engineer will decide. This is something a team will decide what should be the right number. Okay. You cannot tell that I want 100% code coverage. No, that is not something very accepted. Yeah, somewhere between 80 to 90, that is what I think. So even in my company, we follow 85% plus. There are multiple projects we did wherein we follow 85% plus. Okay, so that is something we have to give some kind of breather to the developer also. We cannot put a gun on their head stating no 100%. We have to give some kind of breather. So 85 to 90, that is something what we believe. Make sense? Okay, so the first thing is I'll create a VM, guys. So I'll be creating a Ubuntu machine. I'll definitely not set up Ubuntu on my local. Even though I have Ubuntu on my local, I can set SonarQube on my local system also. But definitely I'll not do it. It's not that. So if anyone says that Docker works on Windows, so guys, so that's a wrong call. Docker is not working on Windows. On Windows, when you start setting up Docker, it will set up a virtual Ubuntu. On top of it, the Docker is running. Okay, so I have Docker on my Windows machine. So it basically uses Ubuntu in the backend. Okay, so that's not the right way. You cannot run Docker on Windows yet. There is a different way of running. So that is the reason I'll be launching a VM. On that VM, I'll be setting up a Docker container. Then I'll set up a SonarQube. And we'll do this the same thing again when we come to the Docker section, when we understand what exactly Docker is, what is image, what is and all. That is something we'll again come to this screen and we'll again create a VM and again we'll launch Docker on top of it. Okay, so let's do it. I don't have a resource group. Let's create a resource group, name it as DevOps Mela-SQ for SonarQube. Let's create a virtual machine, DevOps Mela-VM. Perfect. Let's have something in East US. The reason I select East US, if you're using a free tier account, you may be able to create VM in East US, because in Asia you will not have that limit available to create. So that is the reason that by default I stick with East US for you guys. I'll select 18.04 Zen 2. Anyone, even 20 also you can select. There's no harm. Size, this is something pricing matters, guys. You can use free tier. I don't need much size over here. 1 vCPU and 2 gig of RAM is more than enough for running SonarQube. So I can use this. What is this? 1 vCPU, or let's have 2 vCPU and 4 gig of RAM, because I'll be setting up Docker, I'll be setting up SonarQube. So you can even go with 1 gig, guys. There's no harm. And this is the cost. If you're 24/7, if you're running, this is the cost you will get at the end of the month. But will be hardly running for less than 30 minutes. So hardly will get 10 to 20 rupees charged. I'll use password over here. Let me have DevOps Mela as my username. Password as test at 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. This big password you have to give. Okay. Allow ports, I'll just allow 80 and SSH ports I'll be allowing. So automatically it will create the virtual network, it will create the public IP, it will create the NIC card, it will attach a SSD, and everything will be done automatically. I'll just review and create. Okay, so this is something. Now if you see the cost, it is 2.9971 INR per hour. That's less than 3 rupees per hour. How much we are paying? 3 rupees. Okay. So make sure once you're done with your practical, delete it. Don't keep it. If you keep it hanging, it will be it will cost you. Okay, even though if you're keeping it shut, like as you said, you're shutting it down and keeping it, you'll not get charged for the VM. That's perfect, but you will definitely get charged for the networking. You can get charged for the public IP, you'll get charged for the NIC card, you'll get charged for the storage account, not storage account, the storage what you're using. So you will still get charged even though if your VM is shut. That charge is very minimum, guys. Just keep that in mind. Okay, where are the Docker steps? Let's go and get me those steps. Okay, these are the steps which we need to run in order to set up Docker, and these are the steps which we need to run in order to set up SonarQube server. Okay, let's wait while this thing is coming up. And what else? It means the form file. Okay, so it's created. Perfect. So I have the VM created, guys. So it's a Linux size V2, 2V CPU, 4GB memory, East US location. This is my public IP. If I want, I can configure my DNS, which I will not do right now. So that is not needed. I'll just have my public IP. How do I log in? I can make use of Git shell. This is, I can use it. I can do SSH. So we have already opened port 22. So I can do SSH, guys. What was the name? DevOps mailer at. This is my public IP. Okay, let's do yes. Password was test at 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Perfect. I'm logged in into my server. I can just do a sudo su. So basically I'm switching into a root user because there are multiple things which we need to download. So I'm switching into a root user. If you see which OS it is now, what it is Ubuntu 18.04. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay. I thought. Okay. So this is 18.04, and if you want to look into your RAM, this is a 4 gig memory. Use 161 free 343. And if you want to look into your CPU, this is 2 CPUs. Okay, this is what we have launched. Perfect. Now, as if now I don't have Docker running on top of it. If you want to see if Docker is running, so the command is systemctl status Docker. There's no Docker service running right now. Okay, let's go and set up Docker engine first. Here's my notepad. I'll be sharing this notepad with you guys. Don't worry. So let's run the command or update. So let's update the Ubuntu first. So it's a new machine, so it's always a good practice to update. Sudo, because I'm already logged in as a root user, so this sudo is not required. But if you're not logged in as a root user, you can make use of this sudo, which will download things using root user credentials. Okay, and these are some dependency which is needed in order to run your Docker engine. So I'll just go and download those dependencies as well. Okay, then this is the key. So basically this key needs to be added. Post the key addition, I'll be adding this Docker link as a repo, and then I'll do the update. So you will see that my Docker link is getting updated as a repo. Then post that using app install, I can directly set up Docker as a service on my Ubuntu machine. This is one way of downloading. There are other way. If you want to download Docker from using binaries and totally from scratch, even that is possible. Okay, there are multiple ways to download. This is one of the way. This is the best way, what I believe. Why? Because you have a Docker working as a service, and you have added the Docker repo. In future, if you want to, if there's a new update on Docker and if you want to upgrade by just simply apt upgrade Docker, your Docker engine will get upgraded. So there are multiple ways, but this is the best way, what I think. Okay, my ideas may differ with others, but this is what you can do. Okay, let's go and add this key. Done, added. Now let's go and add this repository. So basically this will go and add it to the local repo of my Ubuntu. So repo is nothing but where the packages are, from where we fetch the packages. So basically it will go and reach out to this download.docker.com and it will add that link in my local repository. See, it's added. Now if I go and just run the update again, you can see the link. Now if you see this download.docker.com, it has listed the package. It is hitting this link also now. Previously it was not hitting this link. After running this 2 commands, I was able to hit. Now this is the command Docker CE. It's an engine, Docker engine which we are downloading. Automatically it downloads the Docker CLI also. So you don't need to separately download the CLI and all. Automatically this is a complete package which will get downloaded automatically. So if you're downloading Docker through binaries, so you may have to take care of this. Now if you see this container D which is required, even that is getting downloaded automatically. Now if you see CLI is also getting downloaded automatically. In binaries you have to make sure you download all this by yourself. Okay. Let's wait. Perfect. Now let's go and verify if we have the Docker installed and up and running. In case Docker is not up and running, that guys, you can just simply do a restart over here. In case of status, you can do a restart and Docker, and your Docker will start to try and restart automatically. Or else, let's see if it's running or not. Perfect. The Docker is running right now. We got Docker. Now if you want to verify, this is Docker version. We're getting 20.1019. This is what Docker Community Edition, what we have downloaded. Okay, makes sense. Now if you want to verify if we have any containers running, Docker PS -a. Basically, if any stopped container, then this is the command which you can use. We'll come back to this section again when we talk about Docker later in this course. As of now, we'll focus on setting up SonarQube. So this is the command which will run my SonarQube server. Name of the server will be SonarQube. We are enabling bootstrap check. So basically this bootstrap check, I'm disabling it using this environment variable. SonarQube listens on port 9000. So I'm even opening the port 9000. So we'll access SonarQube server on 9000 port. And I'm using a latest SonarQube image. So from where will I get this image? I'll get this image from Docker Hub. I don't have the image right now, correct? If I want to look into the images, do I have image? Spelling mistake. Images. I don't have any images right now in my local repository. So from where it will go and fetch, it will connect to Docker Hub, public repository, and it will fetch the image. Okay, so let's go and run this command. So it will go and run SonarQube container for me. Okay, let's wait. Wow, perfect. That has went ahead and pulled the image from SonarQube library and it has created a container. How do we verify? Docker PS. Do you see a container running right now? On which port does it listen? 9000. Let me see if I'm able to access this port locally. On my local server, if I'm able to access, so localhost 9000. Perfect. I'm getting index.html. Perfect. So I have access to this particular server. So I'm able to access my server. How do I access from my local system now? I can make use of this public IP. I can put HTTP. Okay. 9000. Okay, I'll not be able to access from my local system now. Can anyone tell me the reason why I'm not able to access from my local system? Anyone? Perfect. So there is a network security group which got created when we were creating a VM. Okay, we need to allow 9000 port. Okay, we just allowed port 22, that is SSH port, and port 80, that is STTP port. We haven't allowed 9000. Okay, so go and add an inbound rule inside networking, and inside this just allow this port 9000. Name this port as SonarQube. Okay, makes sense. Give the same as description. Okay, let's wait while this port is getting added. Done, the port is added. Let's wait for a while because it will take time. If I go and refresh it, it will not give me the page. Perfect. So if you see, my SonarQube server is coming up now. Okay, so default user ID password is admin, guys, and it will ask you to change your password. You can go and change your password, put any whatever you want. Old password admin, new password I can keep anything. Update, never, dismiss. This is your SonarQube server, guys. This is the server which you have hosted by yourself, and you don't have any single project inside the screen. At the top you have the project list, you have the issues. There's no issues because there's no project. You have your rules. As I said earlier, these are the default rules using which SonarQube works. SonarQube does the analysis using all this rule. Now we have a Java application, so Java will have a different set of rules. Java, they got 626 rules. Okay, you can create your own rules, even that is possible. This is the quality profile I was talking about. Based on this profile, your analysis will be done. Based on this profile, SonarQube will do the analysis. If you want to create your own profile, so basically profile will have set of rules. So the rules which you saw, this is clubbed together into a quality profile. You can create your own profile with your own set of rules from here. You can have your quality gate. So this is the default gate. It will check for coverage, it will check for duplicate lines, it will check for maintainability rate, it will check for security hotspot, security rating. These are default quality gates. So this is something we'll create our own custom and all in future. And this is administration. Okay, for SonarQube administrator, if you want to administrate multiple things over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a project. We have a project in Azure DevOps. If you have a project in Bitbucket, GitHub, GitLab, or manual, if you want to create a project, I have a video on YouTube channel on SonarQube wherein I am creating things manually. Okay, I'm not making use of any of this by default project. I'm making use of manually. If you want to view that, you can go and view that on my YouTube channel. There's a playlist for SonarQube wherein you can view this. Okay, for now I'll stick with Azure DevOps. This is where my project is. You can give your configuration clear name. So what exactly the name of my project is? Spring Web App. I can give whatever name it is, so it's not that necessary. Spring Web App. Okay, URL, you need to give a URL till your project name, not project name, till your organization name. So just copy this part, come here, put it away. Personal access token, remember from where did we create the personal access token? Go to the same place, and create a personal access token. I can make use of this. I can just revoke this, create a new one, name it as Spring Web App SQ. I can select an expiration, give full access, create, copy this and keep it on your local notepad for now. Come back, give the personal access token, save configuration, enter personal access token again, So if I put the personal access token again, it will go and list all my repository from all my project. These are all my projects these are all my list of projects what I have on my Azure DevOps, correct? And which project we are using right now? Let's close this. We are using Azure DevOps Mela 3, correct? And what is the name of the repository I'm using? Spring Web App. Go back. Azure DevOps Mela 3, this one. Spring Web App. I select this. Select setup. Selected repository. Now, do we have integrated with CI with Azure Pipelines or others? We have it with Azure Pipeline itself. I'm not using Jenkins, correct? So I'll select Azure Pipelines. Now, first step, install SonarQube extension for Azure DevOps. So go back, go to this Play Store, browse Marketplace. What it is asking? SonarQube extension. Look for SonarQube. Okay, this is the one. Go and click on get it for free and click on install. In my case, I already have it, guys, so it will not let me install, because if I click on get it for free, it will take me to the screen where it will show already installed. Okay, see, the extension is already installed. So I already have it because I'm using SonarQube from very beginning. So I'll go back. I'll not install this. Okay, so that step is done. Continue. Now this is the endpoint which you need to configure. So basically it is asking you to create a service connection. How do we create a service connection, guys? Go to the project settings, come down, go to service connections, click on new service connection. When you download the plugin, when you install the plugin, then if you come down, you will see SonarQube over here. And if you don't have the plugin, you'll not see SonarQube, guys. Remember that. Okay. So I'll come down, I'll click next. Okay, service URL. This is the URL, you'll get it from here. Copy this, put it over here. Token. This is the token you need to generate. Basically, click on generate token. So this is a token which will get generated. Generate. Copy this token. Continue. Come back. Put the token over here. Service connection name. I can give any name. Spring App SQ. Makes sense. Grant access permission to all the pipelines. Save. We have the connection created. Perfect. Continue. Now configure analysis. So for which project you want to configure, whether you are using a .NET, yeah, online the YouTube channel, what you see, you will see a .NET application I've used there, and now we'll make use of Maven. Okay. Now these are the steps which you need to configure inside your build pipeline. Okay. Now let's go and create a build pipeline. If you don't have a build pipeline for this application, correct? Now go ahead and create a build pipeline. Spring Web App. I'll have just starter pipeline. So we'll just create it for things from scratch. This is done. Let's remove these steps. This is not needed. Okay. Now the first thing is you need to have prepare analysis. So if you're integrating SonarQube, the first step which needs to be added, it's prepare analysis. How do we do that? Just type SonarQube now. This will be visible only if the plugin is installed. All these options will be visible. Prepare analysis, SonarQube server endpoint. We have created the connection. This is the connection. Choose the way to run the analysis. So the second option, integrate with Maven or Gradle. Okay. Select this option because this is a Maven project, guys. And inside the advanced, you need to go and define these properties. The properties you'll get it from this screen. Just copy this part and add this. Perfect. Added. Done. The task is added. So this is prepare analysis. The second is you need Java, latest Java to run SonarQube. Okay, if you don't have Java, then it will not work. So just go and look for Java tool installer and change this 8 to 11. 8 will not work, guys. So select 11, select 64 architect, Select source. Do you have Java somewhere on your local? No. So I can look for pre-installed. It will go and install Java for me. So basically where this is getting installed, this is getting installed on your agent tool, guys. Okay. So don't get confused. So this is the requirement. This two requirement done. Now I can go and add my build task. What is the build task? Maven build, correct? It's a Java application. So Maven build, form.xml file, packages, publish to Azure pipeline, JUnit test, that is okay. Code coverage, we'll do this later. I'll show you later. One thing you need to check, this box. Run SonarQube or Sonar Cloud analysis. Okay. This box needs to be checked. Remember that. Come down. After this task, the Java installer task, come down and add this task, additional task. Now, along with your build, now if you see, there are two things added. Along with your build. Till here, we know it, correct? What we were doing. Now, along with your build, this is additionally got added. Okay. And now this build is ready. The analysis will be happen. Now, if you want to put things in your drop location and all, the copy task, the publish task, you can do it. What I'll do, I'll go and simply copy that part from my Java project. I have it over here in the notes. So I'll copy it from this part. Okay, it's the same thing what we were doing earlier. Okay, let's go and add. Now I have my build pipeline ready with SonarQube analysis. Okay, let's save this. Let's give it a good name. Let's give it SQ so that we know that's a SonarQube build which we are doing. Is it running automatically? No. Let's go and run this. Okay, so this is my SonarQube task is in queue right now. Okay, anyone has any questions till here? See, all the steps are given over here, guys. Whatever I did, it's there over here. You need the Java 11. You need to add the code analysis task. Oh, one thing we missed it. The reports will not get published, so let me cancel this. So basically what you need to do, once your SonarQube analysis is done, the report needs to be published on SonarQube server. If you don't do it, you'll not even come to know what has happened. Okay, so that was missing. So I can go just after the build, I can go and add one more task, SonarQube publish. So this is a publish quality gate result. So basically the result will be published over here. Okay, this is the place where you can add this. This was missing. I can go and save it. Now my build will automatically run. Make sense? Okay, so all these steps are given. JDK installed, analysis, pushing public gate, enabling continuous integration, finished. Okay, it is waiting for your first analysis to come in. You can see the same in the project. You'll see in the project, you'll have your Spring Web App project got created. Let's wait. Anyone? Any questions? Yes, why not? Like if previous build what we had for Java, and if you want to make use of that, even that is possible. The only purpose I'm not using it because the build itself takes 13 minutes and it will be because there are multiple things we'll do in SonarQube and we need to run the build pipeline multiple times. That was the whole purpose of not using that project, because that's a big project. Okay, so hence I'm using the same. It's the same Spring Boot application. What you see, even this is a Spring Boot application. The only thing, it's a smaller one and the build time is not more than 2 or 3 minutes. So that is the whole purpose of using this. You can integrate your SonarQube task. Where is my, with this Java application also, this one. I can go and integrate my SonarQube over here also. And this is a different project. This is a different project. So for this, what you have to do, you have to go in the project. You need to add one more project, create one more project using, because it's a different repository, correct? This is, we are using a different repository. So you need to go and create one more project on SonarQube. But you can use it the same way. Make sense? Okay, the build is happening. Let's wait. Now my prepare task was done. Now if you see, it has prepared, so everything is looking good. This prepare is basically checks for connection. If there's a connection issues, anything as such, this will fail itself. Then we got the Java. If you see, the Java was installed, Java 11 was installed, and the Maven task is running, so it will not take much, I believe. 2-3 minutes maximum it should take. And then we'll have a actual task, SonarQube task, which will run. So in Java, I got 3 JUnit test cases inside this as well, so which will also run. Let's wait. See, the testing is running. For SonarQube, across the environment, one server is more than enough. That is okay. But if you want to have a DR kind of structure, and in case of disaster, if you have one-to-one, that makes more sense. Because what will happen if your one server, the independent server, gets down? So all your build is impacted because of that. Because there won't be any SonarQube scan running on your build. So it's better to have one-to-one, wherein if one of the one of the node failed, the other one is up. Okay, your work is not impacted. So it's always from the DR perspective, it's always good practice to have one more SonarQube server. You keep it in the backend, you keep it as a replica. Make sure all the projects are replicated on that particular server also, and keep it shut. When your actual main server is down, you can just bring that particular server up. So that is how you can keep it. Yeah, one server is more than enough for SonarQube running, because SonarQube is basically just creating projects. If you see, I just got SonarQube server created. I can have multiple SonarQube servers created because I'm using a Docker. If I want 4 servers created on my Docker, I can do it. The only thing is I have to use a different port. 9000 is a default port. I can use 9001, 9003, 9004. Okay. Now if you see, this is done. My Maven was done. My SonarQube is done. My copy file step was done. Now if you see, it's a jar file got created. What did I say? It's a static application. So it's a jar file got created. Everything is dropped inside mid jar location. Let's go inside and see. Now if you see, the test coverage is 100%. There was 3 test cases which has passed successfully. I don't have a code coverage right now. I'll show you tomorrow this code coverage. I'll be integrating Jacoco. So again, a new topic which I'm including this. This is all part of my DevSecOps sessions. But yeah, that's okay. I'll be adding Jacoco over here. Then you can see this part also, the code coverage part also. Okay, over here you can just see tests. You cannot see anything with SonarQube, but if you see the extension, there was a detailed report was sent. If I click on this, basically it will take you to this screen. Okay, if I click on this part, it will take you to your SonarQube server only. Okay, so see, this is the detailed report. Let me close this. Let me come back to this project and let me refresh it. Do you see this? You got 13. How much time it took? 1 hour for 4 minute depth. It shows how many code smells you have. 13 code smells. Coverage, there is no coverage. 3 unit test cases. Duplication, there are 98 lines which it checked. There is no duplication. Now if you want to go and look into details, if you click on this code smells, now you can go into details, guys. There are 13 code smells. There are 7 minor. There are 1 critical severity, 1 major. If you want to look into what is critical, see what is critical. Rename the constant name to match the regular expression. Now if you go inside, click more, this is the line where you're getting this error. Rename the constant to match the regular expression. Okay, because we are hard-coded things, so it is asking you to make use of regular expression. That is marked as critical code smell issue. That is marked as issues at the top. If I go back to the overview screen, if I go back to the minor one, if you see this part, remove the unused import or Spring Framework .beans factor .annotation .autowired. This is the package which I'm importing in my code. Line number 5, code number over here. Source main java com devsec numeric controller .java. Source main java com devsecOps numeric controller .java, line number 5. If I take this out, then this code smell will get mitigated. Okay, now measures, it will also give you the types of measures and the multiple things what you can see, technical depth which you can visualize in this SonarQube. Now the quality, it has not failed. Even though we have 13 code smell, your things has not failed. This is because that is using the default quality gate. Okay, now if you want to create your own, let's create your own quality gate. Let's have code smell. Okay, let's name it as Spring Web App Gate, something like this. Name whatever name you want to give. Now I can go and add conditions to it. I can go and add conditions. Let's add code coverage, code smell, sorry. There are two ways, on new code or on overall code. Basically new code will work whatever new codes you add. Overall, basically it will check all your code line by line. So I'll keep it overall. If it's more than 10, I want this to fail. Okay, same go, let's add some more coverage. I can have coverage if it's less than 80, fail. Okay, coverage less than 60, then fail. Let's add this. Same way you can add multiple conditions, and I can go and make this as default. I want this to run. Okay, I want this gates to run when my analysis is happening on my pipeline. Okay, we have updated the quality gates. Now I want this to fail. There it is. I want this pipeline to fail when we are not meeting the criteria. It will not fail right now because I have not added any breaker. So I have to go and add one more task, that is Sonar breaker. SonarQube build breaker. Again, this is a plugin which you need to go and download, guys. It will not be available by default. Okay, so you can go ahead and look for this, and you can look for Sonar build breaker, search for it and install this. Okay, so this is the one which you can download. Okay, now let's come and add this. I want this to break. This is my endpoint. I select the endpoint and I'll add this after my publish report. I want the report to be published even though if we are not meeting the criteria. Okay, so let's go ahead and add this. Perfect, add it, save it, run it, and let's wait to see if my pipeline is breaking or not. Okay guys, so previously I was not adding this session, the SonarQube session, in my topics. This is something I've added from the last session. Okay, so all the previous drive, I think Sai is part of this channel. Okay, Sai, don't worry, this video recording will get uploaded to your drive also. Don't worry, we'll add that. Any questions guys while this is running? Sorry, I didn't got your question. Like adding at the feature level, where exactly? Can you repeat yourself? But no. So this scanning should basically happen at the development level itself. So when you're merging your code from a local repository to a remote development branch, dev branch. Remember we had dev, release, and main, and that is your actual branch where your build pipeline starts running. Okay, so your SonarQube should happen at that level itself. At the main, that means you have already deployed your changes in production. So at the development level, only your Sonar scan should happen. You can also integrate Sonar lint and everything into your IDE tool also. So you basically, when you're developing thing, at that time also, if you want to run the Sonar scan, even that is possible. Okay, that is individual developer level. On developer system we can do it, but actual answering to your question, where exactly this happens, when the development is completed and when the developer is pushing the change to the development branch. Post that, the development pipeline, the build pipeline which will get executed, at that point of time your Sonar scanner should run. Make sense? Anyone else, guys? Any other question? This is a very important topic. This will definitely come in interview. You should know what is quality profile, what is quality gate. You should know how to integrate Sonar scanner. You should know what is static application security testing. So this part is very important. Even though you'll not be setting up SonarQube server from scratch in companies, because that will be already done by security team. If it's MNC, definitely not have access to it. You will just create project on top of it, and in some cases even the project will be created by the security team and they'll just give you the endpoints. I'm telling you the fact what happens in MNC. If you're part of some startup, then you may end up setting up the entire thing by yourself. But yeah, this is the tool which you should be aware what is SonarQube. Okay, it's a very important tool from security code analysis. There are, for dynamic code analysis, there are multiple tools, Veracode, Checkmark, and there are many. So depending upon what type of application you're using, depending upon what source code you're using, what is the code framework, you may select your dynamic. Dynamic is basically will be done when your code is actually deployed on QA. Then at that time, the QA team, they run the dynamic testing. Okay, let's wait and see if my pipeline is failing or not, because I believe we are not meeting the criteria. We have 13 code smell, and my quality gates which I have updated right now, it is looking for less than 10. If it is less than 10, then it should work. If it's more than 10, it will work. There's only one small topic left in Java, that is Jacoco. So we'll integrate Jacoco tomorrow. For Jacoco, I may have to make changes to the pom.xml file. That is something we can do it tomorrow. Let's wait while this thing is still running. Alright, more than 6 minutes. Great. Anyone? Any questions in between while we're still running this? SonarQube preparation was done, and we are running this build. Along with build, we are doing running the JUnit test cases, and along with that, we are even running the Sonar scan. So if you see, there is a Sonar scan which is taking place. So it may be could be some issues with connection or anything, network issue, because this is all happening on the internet. That is the reason it may take it may taking time. So no worries. As if now if you're seeing, this is what happening right now. Sonar Maven plugin, and it is running the Sonar scan right now. So yeah, answer to your question, yes, it's all happening in parallel. Failed, perfect. Do you see the error, guys? The analysis did not pass the quality gate because at least one analysis has status error. See, it got failed. Let's refresh this. Do you see it got failed? Why did it fail? Quality gate failed. What is the code smell we mentioned? How many code smell did we have? 13. What did we mention? If more than 10, it should fail. What is the condition? Code smell is greater than 10. This is how in reality you will be integrating and working with SonarQube, and this is how your build pipeline will be failed, and you will not have any artifacts created. So if you don't have any artifact, there is no release pipeline, no deployment. This is how your pipeline will stop in between. Make sense? This is Sonar break. That's it from SonarQube, guys. Do practice this. I'll be sharing this project also. I'll be sharing this notepad also with you all. And what else? Yeah, that's it. This is what I'll be sharing. Try it by yourself. Make sure you practice this. If you don't practice, you will forget everything. Okay. Tomorrow we'll add Jacoco. It's hardly 10 minutes it will take to add Jacoco because only the form.xml file needs to be updated and things will be done. And post that, there's one more live project, that is database automation. We'll try to do that, or we'll keep it for the end, or we'll do artifacts. This is also a very important topic which we'll cover tomorrow. Let's do artifact because the database automation is a lengthy one and it will take time and there are multiple things involved. So let's stick with artifact. Then we'll have only one project left, that is SQL database automation. Okay, that's it for me, guys. Let's meet up tomorrow and let's continue the topics. Okay, any question before we wind up? No questions. Great. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.